Hi, everybody, and welcome to the NDSC podcast, a place to share ideas for future and new management doctoral students. I am your host, Jose, and I am excited to bring you these new 3 episodes recorded live at the SMA annual meeting. These new 3 episodes will have a special topic: academic mentoring and advisory. I hope you enjoy them. Welcome again. For this next episode, my guest is Associate Professor Andrew Bennett from Old Dominion University. I had the opportunity to meet Andrew last year at SMA during the Early Stage Doctoral Consortium, and then we met again at the MOBTS conference. Andrew has a lot of experience organizing and running doctoral consortiums, so he can provide great advice for us students on how to develop these mentorship relationships along our program. I hope you enjoy this next episode. Okay, hi everybody. I am here with Andrew Bennett at SMA. This is one of the other interviews I had planned for today on general academic PhD journey advice, but also going into the mentorship part of your PhD. So welcome, Andrew. Thanks for being with me.
Thanks for having me.
Also, fun fact, Andrew, this year organized the early doctoral consortium here at SMA. I met Andrew last year at the early stage doctoral consortium at SMA in New Orleans, and then we had the nice coincidence again at MOBTS conference where he also organized that consortium. So he's been, in a way, kind of like a mentor for me during my conferences, and he's always been a great guy, helping me a lot. So I'm very happy to have him. So the first question, Andrew, is just tell us a little bit more about you outside of being an academic, right? Who is Andrew outside of the classroom and outside of all those papers, maybe, right?
Right. That's always a harder question to answer because there's so many, I think, different parts of us outside of our work. So I'm not even sure where to start. I guess I'll tell you some fun things that I like to do outside of work, just because I think it's important to find things. For me, it's every day. Some people are really good at being weekend warriors and going on these really cool adventures on the weekend. I am not quite that adventurous, but I do a lot of things I think every day that sort of keep me sane. So I like to exercise. I think that's for me it's super helpful. I used to do triathlons. I stopped doing them when I was in the PhD program. I didn't have enough time to actually train to do them really anymore. But if it's nice outside, you'll find me running or swimming or doing something like that. I love being sort of outside in the elements, exercising. And sort of during COVID, which has now been a couple of years since that all really started, I started to learn how to cook too, and that's surprisingly fun for me. I'm not actually that good at it yet, but I think that's one of those things that it became like a hobby. So now it's kind of fun to try something new every week or every other week, and it just sort of breaks up the really boring frozen meals that I used to have as a PhD student, or the ramen. And now it's I can cook stuff now. This is exciting. So,
nice.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite dish or a favorite cuisine from the world that you might have this might be my favorite? I know all of them are really good, but
no, I'm not that talented yet. Let me put it that way. I would love to be able to cook some really cool Asian dishes, because I love eating a lot of spicy Asian food, and I just can't cook it yet.
Okay.
So I think that would be that's maybe next year, or if I go on sabbatical or something, I'll try a cuisine that's much crazier than what I can currently do.
Nice.
But yeah, nothing super exciting, but at least now I can cook. I can fend for myself, and it's tasty, so it's good.
That's awesome. So now going into academia, right? What's your story? How did why you became an academic? What was kind of that decision process?
Yeah, I love that you asked this, because I think everybody has a different journey into that space. For me, I got my undergraduate degree in engineering, and so I spent about 10 years after graduating college working, and I worked in a wide variety of jobs. I worked in engineering, obviously. I worked in operations jobs. I ended up working in some sales and some finance, and at one point was in a marketing department for a short while. For someone with an engineering degree, I really did a lot of not engineering for part of my life. But during that time, I got to see a lot of different organizations. I got to see a lot of different managers. I had a lot of bosses I eventually became a manager, and then eventually became a supervisor with like 120 people underneath me. And those experiences, especially when you're in your 20s and early 30s, sort of shape what's going on and how you see the world, because I had so many different opportunities to watch the good and the bad, and then try it out myself. And I think in doing that, I realized that one, when I had all of the bad bosses, I realized that I liked them as people. I just didn't like their management style, or they just never had been taught how to manage people, which is pretty common, I think, in a lot of industries. You might be really good at your job, so you just become the boss because you're the next person there. So I started to realize that management skills could be taught, and that was really important. And then once I became a manager and a supervisor, and I started having managers that I was training, it helped me realize that I wanted to be helping train more managers in the future. So that sort of led me into, let's start looking at graduate programs. Along the way, I got a master's degree in leadership, and I think that helped shift where I was going in my life too. And so that led me down to, let's go get a PhD so I can continue to train future managers so that they can actually be good at it, and maybe not be the bad experiences that I had.
Nice, I like that.
Yeah.
And so, following up with that, what's for you the best thing about this job, like the best thing about the gig?
I love the autonomy. I sort of see myself as this career lets you kind of act like an entrepreneur, but still have the safety net of a salary. If that makes any sense. Yeah. I love that I can control a lot of what I do during the day. I have a lot of projects that I work on because they are important or interesting to me. So that autonomy, I think, is what is the most important thing for me in my career. But I also get so much satisfaction out of those different aspects of our job. I love, I think doing research is really cool. I love asking questions and investigating things. And I love teaching. So I think I love being in the classroom. I love teaching at the undergraduate level and the graduate level, and helping shape people's lives and being a mentor to others. And I also, service can be in a lot of forms, but I really enjoy sort of being part of a community, and that also means going out into the community and serving the community in certain ways that we have as experts in a field. So, I like all three parts of our job, but I like that I can, again, sort of control which aspects of those I want to do certain weeks or certain months.
Nice. And so the other side of the coin would be, so that's your favorite part, the best part, but what's some of the most challenging parts of this job?
Having autonomy is actually, to me, the most challenging part too. It's a double-edged sword. Yeah, yes. I mean, everything's I feel like a lot of things are in my control, which then means that it's up to me to figure out what path I want to go down, to see what's worth my time and what's not. And there's a lot of, I think, we have a lot of good ideas. I want to be doing a lot of things, but then oftentimes I have to make sure that I'm in charge of setting my own boundaries now, to make sure that I'm not doing too much. And that's very different from having a job where you're just being told what to do, and you just go, you do your job, you get told what to do, and you go home. When we have all of this freedom, it's also a challenge. We have to sort of learn how to handle that well, so we can manage ourselves, and still live a full life with all the people around us. So that's still hard for me, is trying to find that balance between what can I take on versus what do I want to do, which is a lot more than I can actually take on.
Yes.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so now I want to go into more the special topic that I thought for these sessions, and it's more about academic mentoring and finding a mentor, an advisor in your program and outside your program. So maybe if you could share a little bit of your own experience, maybe as a mentee or a mentor, as a PhD and an academic, and then I can go deeper into some of the other questions I have.
So I mentor, as a mentor, I mentor people a little bit differently. We, at our University of Dominion, we have a PhD program, but it's in an area that's not my focus. It's a lot of entrepreneurship and strategic management. So I tend to mentor students very informally. Okay. And I guess I find myself in a lot of sort of informal mentorship capacities, because not only do I tend to mentor students, but I don't have a class, I don't teach a class with them, I don't lead or supervise a dissertation. And I also tend to lead these consortia, like here at SMA or at MOBTS, and I see that sort of as the informal mentoring that I do with students. That's sort of on the mentorship side. What else were you thinking?
When you were a student, right? Or who were maybe some mentors for you?
Okay. So as a student, I went through a few different I went through a few different mentors, and sometimes I think that's maybe common for some people as a PhD student. You sort of get, depending on what's going on in the department at the time and what faculty are there, and sometimes faculty leave or sometimes faculty go on sabbatical, or sometimes you don't meet. I did not have the same mentor. I had one consistent mentor the whole time, but I also went through a few other mentors as well. So for me, finding a mentor was sometimes by chance. Sometimes it was just the faculty that you were assigned to, and then suddenly it worked out really well. I had one mentor, Doug Pugh, for I think all 4 years. It may have been 3 of the 4, and it just kind of worked. That it every semester it was still working. It was still a good relationship, and so that was really helpful. Sometimes a little luck helps with finding somebody. And then I also had Allison Gabriel, who joined VCU when I was there for my last 2 years, and so she became a mentor as well. And again, it's just that's who they hired, and that's where I started being her research assistant. And very quickly, she became a really strong mentor in a short amount of time, and that was really helpful too.
Okay, and so the next question I would like to get kind of like a little bit of your perspective on is, especially with all the experience you have running these consortia for students, what do you, and about academia, what are maybe some, like when students are thinking about a mentor, developing a mentorship, what should they be thinking of? Because I think like sometimes they go through I want a big name, right? And I want to be mentored by someone that is, quote, famous, unquote, right?
Right.
But maybe that might be important and that might be helpful, but there's more to it. What else would you kind of like advise?
I mean, I think a good mentor is more than just someone who's like a genius. I think that the geniuses in the world can be really good mentors, but I also think you have to find somebody who's actually going to be good at mentoring you for what you need. And we all need different things at different parts in our career, so you might need different mentors at different stages. So I think it really helps to find somebody who's going to support you and your ideas, as opposed to maybe, to me, a good mentor is not someone who's just going to give you a project and ask you to just go ahead and to just do it for them. I mean, that's not mentoring somebody. You need somebody who's going to support you, and again, I think support you in what's your idea and how can we make your idea stronger so that you can become an independent thinker, an independent scholar on your own. And I think also somebody who can support you in all of your life, again, recognizing that we all have these other aspects of our life that are part of us, and so you want somebody who can understand that if you have something outside of life going on, there are going to be times where that needs to be priority number 1, 2, or instead of schoolwork for even a short period of time. So I think it helps to find somebody who understands those things and maybe that you can get along with and have those open, honest conversations with. Because I think in your PhD journey, you start out as a student in year 1, you're just taking classes and you're sort of absorbing all this information. But by the end of it, you're graduating and you are then becoming your own independent person. And so you want somebody who can see you through that journey, rather than just treat you as a student the whole way through. Mm-hmm. You need to mature throughout that process of somebody mentoring you.
Yeah. Okay, another question that I have for you is a little bit of, so when there's students that want to approach somebody that's outside their program for advice, for help, for mentorship, maybe what are some things that, and you might have this situation happen to you, like if a student approaches to you, what are a little bit of the expectations or the best practices you would recommend when it is not somebody that it's in your program, right? Because maybe when it's somebody in your program, there's kind of like this commitment, right? Because we're in the same institution, but outside of the program, it has to be very authentic and organic, right? So what are maybe some of the suggestions you would give to students that want to reach out to people outside of their programs during a conference or something like that?
I think step 1 is just to actually reach out. I think it can be really intimidating. I actually met somebody at SMA at this conference. I think it was maybe my second year, and we were just in the same paper session. And so, I went up to them afterwards and just started talking with them because we were in the same paper session because we had similar topics that we were studying. And it led to him being a co-author, Arnold Bacher. And he didn't necessarily become like a big mentor for me, but he became a co-author on a paper and saw me through my first authored piece that I was working on as a PhD student. And he was not at our institution. It's just sometimes you just have to go up to somebody and get over that fear factor of this person doesn't know who I am, why would they ever talk to me. Most of us are interested in these ideas, and if you can find somebody and talk with somebody about a similar idea, oftentimes they want to help, especially if you have something that you're working on that's not just I will tell you now, being in my shoes as an associate professor, if you just come up to me and like want to talk for an hour, I can chat with you for an hour. If you have a project and you've actually started working on it and it's kind of fleshed out, then I can actually get a little bit more involved because I kind of know, I know what my role is then. Whereas if you want me to start something and just bring you along, I struggle with that as if you came up to me and just said like, hey, I want to join a paper with you, but I don't care what it is. I wouldn't know what to do with that. Yeah. So you should again have these ideas, and then if you start to approach somebody, have them be a little bit fleshed out, or be aware that it's going to be hard for them to find time to really help you too much without something bigger. That's
great advice.
Yeah.
So you just mentioned you're associate professor now at Old Dominion, and I think a lot of like our mindset as PhD students is right. Well, while I'm a PhD student, it's where I need mentorship, I need advice, I need maybe an advisor, a committee chair. But I think even as like junior faculty and assistant, once you move out, yes, you're a PhD, but you still need some mentorship, right? And you need somebody maybe at your new institution to guide you through the tenure process to help you, and you might stay in touch with some of your advisors or people in your program. But then maybe if there's something you could share around that, once you become a professor, what's the right approach to have to mentorship or to look to people in your new department, right?
I think that's, I was really fortunate that our school set up mentorship programs, and you were set up with a mentor outside of your department, which is very helpful. So if you're starting a new job, it might help to, if it's not formalized, reach out to somebody in marketing or finance or accounting or someone else, who's been there a little while, because sometimes you want to talk to someone outside of your department just to, get just another opinion from an external view. I also think it helps to create a network of people within like your same year or around your same year. So if you're a first year assistant, you know other first year assistants and second year assistants, and when you create that community, you're sort of trading off information that everybody's learning at all these other places. And so sometimes they might not be a direct mentor to you, but you might find somebody who is really knowledgeable because of something that they've gone through at another institution. So I think that can be really helpful. I also think, again, if you meet people at conferences, talk to somebody who's maybe 2 to 5 years ahead of you, so to speak, because they've probably recently gone through whatever you've just been going through. So they can turn into just friends, but you also can check in and chat with each other for 30 minutes. Or now, these days, we just jump on Zoom whenever somebody needs to talk for a couple minutes, and I think that's really helpful.
Awesome. Okay, so I wanna do something special with this interview because I have you, and I think, and you mentioned kind of like that balance with research, teaching, and service. That is something pretty cool about the job. And yesterday you won an award on teaching pedagogy innovation. I might be butchering the title, the exact title, but I think if there's something that people that know Andrew is like his quality as a person, as an individual, also as a teacher, and how much you care about your students. So, and I feel like sometimes teaching might be a little bit like on a second priority, right? And I understand research is very important, but I would like to hear a little bit about your teaching experience, or kind of like your philosophy around teaching, because I think for me as a PhD student, if I'm thinking about somebody that does teaching really well, I think about you, and you're sort of like a role model. So maybe if you can share anything, whatever you want, around teaching to PhD students.
I think if you enjoy teaching, like if you start teaching in your PhD program and you enjoy it, don't like suppress that feeling. That doesn't mean that you're going to spend 80 hours a week teaching. You have to learn how to box out your time, just like you do everything else. But it's okay to like it. In fact, it's okay to love it, and I think it's okay to lean into that. Just be aware that you have other things to do as well. So I think that's just part one, is recognizing that's okay. If you're someone who doesn't love it, that's also okay. I was incredibly nervous, and I didn't really like it my first semester or so, because it seemed pretty intimidating. There's a lot of imposter syndrome. I think a lot of people feel it throughout the entire PhD process, because like who am I, and how am I supposed to be like this expert in something in a couple of years? But then all of a sudden you're in front of 50 undergraduates or more sometimes, and wow, I felt like such a huge imposter, because why are they even listening to me? I guess because they paid to be here, but that made no sense to me at all then. So it's okay also if you're nervous, if you're anxious about it. And what I've learned is I don't have to know every single topic every single day like the number one expert in the world who wrote the textbook on it or something like that. My job as a teacher is to actually make sure that students find why I think it's interesting and help them understand and be at least a little bit engaged in it so that they might find it interesting. Because at the end of the day, my role is not to have, at least in my opinion, my role is not to have them memorize something so they can regurgitate it on a test. It's so that they can gain a slightly deeper understanding about something and hopefully be interested in it so that next year, 5 years from now, they might just Google it, or they might think about it, or they might see something in a little bit of a different way because of class. I don't think in 10 years they're going to remember what my test was about, but I hope that they can be excited to learn something more in the future. So do whatever you can in the classroom to sort of keep that excitement around the topic so that they want to learn more about it, I think is way more important. And I do that by, if something's fun for me in the classroom, I think that comes across to others. Mm-hmm. So I've learned to cut out the things that I thought were boring because I got bored teaching them. So I've been able to make sure that whatever I'm doing in class, I'm enjoying. And that's maybe the only advice I can give you is if you like it, find ways to enjoy it. And if you don't like it, find ways to enjoy it.
I love that. Okay, so now we're doing kind of like the special game we have, right? So we have all these cards here.
And this is terrifying. I know that none of you can see my face, but the fact that there's a bunch of cards with unknown questions to me is scary.
Yes. So these are the cards from the questions we sourced from attendees to the New Doctoral Student Consortium. And I'm going to ask Andrew to draw one.
Okay.
And let's see what question is that.
Ooh, advice on reading papers. This changes a little bit. I think there's generic advice of like, it takes a while to learn how to read them. So your first semester especially, you kind of feel very overwhelmed.
Yes.
And then some of the advice that I remember I was given was start with the discussion. And I think that is very true for a while because it's going to help you understand a lot of what went on in sort of a condensed version. I've learned the further along I got in the PhD program, once I understood a little bit, once I kind of knew what was going on and what the general theme was, I tended to focus on the methods because then I wanted to see how they did something, if it was a methods paper, or if it was a paper that had data in it. So then I started to focus more on the methods because that helped me better understand what they were doing, not necessarily the whole. I can look at a model and a figure, and then I want to know how they operationalized it because that's really fascinating to me. And another trick that I still use, because I tend to go to the methods first now when I read, I've also learned like to read over the intro and the discussion again and figure out what the authors said the contributions were, because that's like what makes their paper unique to them. And likely if it's gone through peer review and all those other things, the reviewers felt that as well. So what are those things? If they say, my contribution was this and this, that's probably exactly what their major contributions were. So find that line and underline it. Because that they're giving you like the answer of what's the most important part of what we did here. So those are sort of my pieces of advice for how to read them efficiently. And of course, sometimes you're just inefficient in reading them because everything's brand new, and that's okay. You just have to give yourself more time until you can figure it out a little bit quicker next time.
Perfect. I think that was amazing. I really like it. It's going to be helpful for me, for sure. Thank you very much, Andrew. This was great. I really appreciate giving me your time.
Yeah.
And I think everybody's going to enjoy this podcast. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for joining me. And please stay in the loop for our next episode. I really hope everything we share here contributes to a happy and better PhD journey for you.